Alessіо Ск'яцци is a filmmaker who does incredible job to tell animal story through documenting their lives. And I've been working with Alessio for more than a year now, doing a documentary about rescuing animals in Ukraine and telling stories of people and animals who live in the wartime and still try to survive. Alessio is a great human being, and now he will share how we can tell stories about animals through the filmmaking. So Alessio, welcome you on stage.
I just want to preface my talk by saying that I am not a lecturer. I am not a speaker. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm simply here as a human being sharing my story. This is my presentation for today about documentary filmmaking for animal rights. So I studied film and screenwriting in Los Angeles. I pursued a career in Hollywood for many years. I worked with many of these movie studios, editing trailers and promos for international movie campaigns for many years. But I've also decided to abandon all of that. In 2018, I watched a documentary that opened my eyes. This documentary. So the story that I believed in for my entire life, the story that I was told, was a lie. And the story is that animals are here for us. A documentary shifted my perspective. A documentary inspired me to take action. A documentary changed my story. And as my story changed, so did my circumstances. Only maybe a few months after watching this documentary, I met the director, Sean Monson. Sean is most notably known for Earthlings. Earthlings is a documentary that changed the story of hundreds of thousands of people. And Sean and I began working together not long after. We filmed the rescue of Liberty and Indigo from a slaughterhouse in Los Angeles the day after Joaquin Phoenix won the Oscar for The Jokers. It was a very powerful experience, and I realized how important it was to show the connection between humans and animals. Sean taught me how to align my actions with my values. He introduced me to documentary filmmaking for animal rights. We collaborated on several other projects together. I decided to take a chance. I took a leap of faith, and I quit my job, and I decided to work alongside other filmmakers that were creating stories and documentaries that speak up for animals. These are some of the projects that I worked on in the past couple of years. I edited Moby's punk rock vegan movie. I helped Keep Anderson and Cameron Waters with Conspiracy. And I worked with many other talented artists that were using their talents and skills and heart to create documentaries that speak up for animals. So I'm here today to share my experiences, what I've learned over the years, and I hope that it can inspire you to follow your heart and align your actions with your values. It all starts with stories. The stories that we're told and the stories that we choose to tell. Stories shape our understanding of the world and our place within it. There is a quote from a book that I read and it stuck with me, and I wanted to share with you today. It says, "We're all captive of a story. Our beliefs, our traditions, our cultures, the words we choose every day, the actions we take, they all come from stories we accept as true." And so the question is, what story are we believing? What story are we telling ourselves and others? And can we tell a different story? Documentary filmmaking gives us the chance to do that. It is not the spectacle that changes minds. It's revealing the human truth behind all the other layers. So when creating a documentary, ask yourself, which story am I reinforcing, or which story could I challenge? Let the story guide your choices. It's the narrative that should determine the visuals, not the other way around. Don't chase spectacle for its own sake. Focus on what will change understanding, inspire empathy, and move audiences to action. I want to give you an example from our film Punk Rock Vegan Movie. The dominant story, the story that people believed in for a long time, is that punk rock is harsh, macho, fueled by alcohol and drugs. But the reality is different. Many people behind punk rock are straight edge. They don't drink, they don't do drugs, and many of them don't eat meat or any animal products. So when we made the documentary, that story became the base of our film. We didn't aim to create spectacle, or we didn't chase epic visuals. We focused on personal stories. We showed moments that really mattered. People opening up, revealing their values, sharing their values, talking about their connection with animals. These moments have the power to shift perception because they're real, they're relatable, and they're human. So through these stories, the documentary demonstrates something very important. What we often take for granted as truth is simply a story we've been told. And so by telling a new story, by telling a different story, we invite audiences to see the world differently and to imagine change. Seeing these people opening up in ways that you don't see them on stage was essential to transforming the narrative. Their connection with animals was something that people did not recognize before. And that connection can truly transform understanding. Yet when we think of human-animal connections, we often don't think of pigs. We think of cats and dogs. That's the story we've been told for hundreds, thousands of years. We see cats and dogs as deserving of compassion and love and respect, while other animals like chickens, cows, and pigs are acceptable to eat, to wear, to test products on, to drink. So through storytelling, through documentaries, we can tell a different story. A story that shows human-animal connection beyond cats and dogs, beyond species. And that connection can reshape perspectives, show relationships that the audience hasn't seen, capture interactions that reveal trust, care, and mutual reliance. It's moments like this that have the power to move viewers, to challenge old beliefs, and to inspire action. On September 20th, 2023, in Italy, police raided an animal sanctuary. They violently attacked the people that were defending the place. They destroyed much of the sanctuary, and they killed all the pigs who lived there. The pigs who lived at the sanctuary were not destined for consumption. They were not destined for food. They were companion animals of Ivan and Federica, the sanctuary owners who you see on screen, who had rescued them from abuse. The pigs were their family. So when we decided to make a documentary about the events that happened at Cuori Liberi, we could have told the story in many different ways. But what struck me the most was the dedication of people across Italy and across Europe who rushed to the sanctuary to defend the animals. Some people even left their job and closed their businesses and traveled hundreds of miles to put their body between the police and the animals. Their dedication and profound connection with the animals, not to cats and dogs, but to pigs in this case, was something that I found very inspiring and powerful enough to transform understanding and to change the old story. Why were these people willing to risk everything? Injury, loss, jail, to protect 9 pigs. What connection did they have with them? What did this animal mean to them? So those are the questions that shaped the documentary. We focused on human-animal connections in ways that most people had not seen before. We didn't simply recount the events that happened on that day. We made them tangible, emotional, and personal. After the film came out, we had many screenings all over Italy and Europe, and I had the chance to talk to the audience during Q&As and after. And many people came to me saying that the film has shifted their perspective, had opened their eyes. They realized something that they had not realized before, a bond that goes beyond species. Many of them came to me personally and saying that they would no longer consume animal products. Over 10,000 people walked on the streets to protest the unjust murder of 9 pigs. 10,000 people, 9 pigs. Their story had changed. And Italy is a country that consumes a lot of animal products. Just like many other countries, it's in their culture. And this brings me to my next point. The culture, environment, and crisis guide what we film and how we tell it. Local realities shape our approach. Yes, it's important to have a strong idea, but it's equally important to stay open and to adapt to the culture, the environment, and the situation they're in. You have to observe and listen and let the people, the animals, and the environment guide your choices. Adaptation is not a compromise. It is part of being truthful. And when you're filming in difficult situations, in crisis situations, flexibility is just as important as planning. And when we talk about crisis, we can immediately think of what's happening today here in Ukraine. When we decided to film Rescue, our upcoming documentary about rescuing animals, all animals, beyond distinction of species, from the front lines of Ukraine, we had an idea. Tamara had an idea. We had a story in mind. But we also didn't know what to expect when filming in the front lines, when filming evacuations. We didn't know how people would react. We didn't know how animals would react. We didn't know how we ourselves would react. So we had to stay open. We have to observe and listen. You have to consider technical choices and ethical choices. Technical choices can be a tool for empathy. The camera that you use, the lens that you choose, the way you approach filming, everything can help the audience inhabit the story rather than just sitting on the outside and observing it. If you're filming in a difficult situation, in a crisis situations where everything is unstable, you may want to maybe not go after a cinematic look with a steady camera or a gimbal or a long lens and have shallow depth of field. You may want to consider filming handheld with a wider lens to give a first-person perspective. These are all choices that can help bring the audience into the story and make him feel like they're there, feeling what you're feeling. The rawness, the authenticity, the real emotions. But you also have to consider ethical choices. Let the location, the people, and the animals shape your filming approach, what you focus on, and how you decide to share it. Respecting the situation, being humble, can produce footage that is much more powerful than simply going out there and filming everything that you can. In these situations, the environment is not just a backdrop, it's a co-author of your story. You have to listen, you have to observe it, and you have to let it help you shape your narrative. And there may be moments when you may have to pause and ask yourself, should I film this? Or maybe should I lower my camera? Filming suffering is never simple. Not every moment should be filmed. It is vital to assess the situation and ask yourself, is this essential for the story? Will this honor my subjects? Will it be respectful? Presence, empathy, and intention matter more than simply getting the shot. Your subjects, humans or animals, need to feel that you're there to witness, not to sensationalize. You have to create trust. Trust opens door to footage that is much more powerful than just getting every shot that you can, because it's truthful. I want to give you an example from our film Rescue. There was a moment where we were evacuating animals. It was in Shikivka. It was this moment. And this moment, I felt a bit uneasy filming because it was a very intimate moment. The woman was saying goodbye to her dog. She had to evacuate all her animals because she was forced to leave because her village was getting bombed and it was about to get occupied. But I also realized how powerful this moment was, how touching and how important it was for the audience to see what I was seeing, to experience what I was experiencing, to feel what I was feeling, to understand what war is doing to people and animals in Ukraine. But this moment is powerful because it's authentic. It was not forced. And this would not have been possible if I hadn't built trust before. In fact, prior to this moment, I decided not to film. The same woman came towards me crying. She was desperate. And I chose not to get that shot. I chose to lower my camera and give her a hug. I showed her that I was there for her, to help her, not to sensationalize her pain. And this created a bond between us, created trust. And she allowed me to get this moment and many other powerful moments that you will see in the film when it's out. With people, consent can be easier to obtain. It can be explicit, it can be verbal. With animals, it can be a little bit different. But animals are not voiceless. They communicate in their own ways, and it's our responsibility to learn how to listen. Animals may not speak our language, but they do show discomfort, pain, suffering, or happiness or joy in tangible ways that we can observe and hear. So we have to learn how to listen, and we have to let their behaviors guide our choices. Here, we're filming in an intensive pig farm somewhere in Europe. When we walked in, when we approached the animals, we felt a very strong sense of discomfort, of suffering and pain. It was tangible. The animals were asking for help. So we filmed, we documented everything. We spend hours with the animals. There is enough propaganda out there covering the truth, telling a different story, and documentary filmmaking has a big part in uncovering the truth, in telling the real story. It is your purpose that should guide your choices in every moment. You have to constantly ask yourself, why am I filming this? How does this honor my subjects? And what story does it serve? So whether you are filming in an intensive farm or in a war zone or in a destroyed animal sanctuary, integrity is not just a guideline, it's the foundation. It's the lens through which your story gains authenticity. And in the end, it all comes back to the why. Why are you doing it? Every choice that you make, technical choice, ethical choice, every choice reflects your values. If you lose sight of your why, even the most technically perfect film will fail to move audiences. Activism and filmmaking strengthen each other when rooted in honesty. Activism drives purpose. Filmmaking gives it language and reach. So you have to focus on storycraft as much as the message. Use cinematic tools to serve story, narrative, and emotions, not spectacle. Let the moments unfold rather than forcing them. Adapt to the environment and be respectful of your subjects. Every cinematic tool that you use should always enhance dignity and empathy, not trying to manipulate or sensationalize. When you're editing, structure the story around emotional truth, not chronology alone. You have to remember that the audience may not see the world the way you do yet. So you have to find hooks, points of connections, way to transport the audience into the story. Powerful opening is vital, but you have to keep the audience engaged throughout the film. The middle and the ending are just as important. You have to work on pacing. You have to find the right transitions to keep the audience involved, connected, absorbed, and committed throughout the film. This will help you carry them through a honest and emotional journey and will allow them to be open and receptive for your message. Yes, you will face challenges, limited resources, skepticism, criticism, moments when giving up feels easier than anything else in the world. But if your why is strong enough, if the story that you want to share drives you during the day and keeps you awake at night because you know it can change the way people see the world, you will find a way. The right people will show up, the right opportunities will come along, and the road will reveal itself. And you will finally be able to share your story and express yourself with authenticity and respect. And in the end, it all comes back to a central truth. Documentary filmmaking can help rewrite the stories we were told. The work is hard, sometimes exhausting, very often emotionally demanding. But if you let the story guide you, if you're humble, respectful, and if you don't lose sight of your why, your documentary can do a lot more than simply inform. It can transform. And I want to leave you with a quote. The chains that bind humanity are not made of iron, they're made of ideas. And the moment you stop believing in those ideas, the chains dissolve. You don't need to fight them, just see them clearly and their power disappears. The truth doesn't need defense. It only needs to be seen. As activists, filmmakers, this is what we're here for. To show the truth. It's all we can do, and it's all we need to do. Thank you.
You was in many farms, and I guess it's illegal. Do you have issues with law?
If I had issues with the law being inside farms?
Yeah.
Luckily not. There are ways. Bogna talked about this earlier. I think you maybe missed it. But every country is different. There are different laws, and there are ways where you can go and get the footage. And I think it's even if there is a risk, it's important that we do that and show the truth.
I just have one question. So there was What's the Hell's book and the project was it? Can you tell a little bit more about it?
Yes and no. Yes, it should be coming. It's a book based, it's a movie based on Dr. Greger's book, How Not to Die, right? Yeah, it's already been filmed, and I was one of the editors on the film. And now we're just looking for a way to distribute it. So if it's not, I originally was supposed to be the end of this year, but it might go into next year, but it will be coming out soon.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Alessio, for being here for Us and Animals. And I want to ask you, for what film you're proud the most, and what was hardest for you to prepare?
I think it hasn't come out yet. I think every film is different as its challenges. Emotionally, for me, Cuori Liberi was very difficult to witness what happened. Obviously to the pigs, but also to the family, to the owners of the sanctuary. It was a very difficult film to balance, to film those kind of emotions that are very difficult to deal with. But at the same time, rescue has been it's been a very, very difficult journey for many reasons. But I think it's also one of the most rewarding difficulty. Probably rescue, this one that hasn't come out yet. It's been very, very challenging on many different levels, financially, emotionally, physically. We were hit by drones, and it's been extremely difficult, and I'm very proud of this film.
So my question is, I'm really curious what you think about if someone has to have a degree in university in filmmaking in order to do those documentaries, or maybe on the other hand, you can say some qualities are more valuable, and if so, what are those qualities?
Yeah, I don't think you need a degree. I think you simply need experience. And you need to be willing to work hard and to learn. So regarding the qualities, it really depends on what your focus is in. If you're more into editing, then there is certain type of qualities, certain type of skills that you might want to learn. If you're into filming, then there's different ones. So, but I think especially nowadays, you can learn everything that you need by watching films. You really need to listen to yourself and what inspires you, and just dedicate yourself towards that goal.
You are not a speaker, but I think you are. It was a great speech. Anyways, I wanted to ask, where is, in your life, where is the boundary between the work and altruism and your mission, if you had a chance to think on this?
Between
work, job, and the mission, altruism.
Where is the boundaries?
Yeah, for you. Do you see that?
There is no boundary for me. It's all the same. My work is my life. I don't see it as a profession. I just see it as something that I do because I want to. It's something that drives me. It's something that I don't see filming or editing as a job. I just see it as my life. So I have no distinction between being altruist or being, a worker. To me, it's all the same. And I think it's the best way to express yourself when you just do what you feel is right for yourself. I hope this answers your question. I don't know. Maybe
I will ask, what your advice would be for those who want to start into filmmaking. What is the best way to start? Maybe short documentary, what kind of work or what kind of films it's better to start with? What would be your advice?
It's a good question. I think it varies. I think it depends. There are some people that really love film, so their approach is to, try maybe to take that as an inspiration and create something like the films that inspire them. Or really, like I said, the best way is to just do it. Just try it. Yeah, obviously starting from short film is probably ideal because making a long documentary is complicated and you can do it, but I do think that as vegans, as activist filmmakers, for us the message that we're trying to communicate is a very difficult message to get out there, it doesn't sell. And so I think that at that level, we need to create something that is professional and can compete with those kind of films. And to do that, it does require money. It does require a lot more things than simply making a short film. So I think it's a good way to start. You learn, what you do wrong, what you do right, what you can do better. Every project is a learning experience. So start from something.
And I'm just going to ask you a question that we asked a lot of people when we were filming earlier this year. And that question is, what gives you hope?
I may spoil the film, but I think Tamara had a good answer to that question in the film. Everything is hard to stay truthful and to navigate this life. And it seems impossible at times to do what you really want to do. It seems impossible. And so along the way, I met many amazing people that inspired me. People that we filmed, people that worked alongside me. And I think that gives me hope.
Дякую вам, Алессіо, дуже за вашу роботу, за ваш активізм, за вашу небайдужість. Скажіть, будь ласка, яких тварин ви утримуєте? Ваші компаньйони тварини? Які у вас тварини, якщо є?
Do you have any animals, companion animals?
I did. She's my cat. Not anymore. She passed away. So no right now, but one day I will. My life right now has been very unstable. I've been traveling around for filming, and I feel I wouldn't be a good companion right now. So I'm waiting until I have my safe space, and yes.
Alessio, thank you for being here, and thank you for being an inspiring speaker. The question is, Bogdan mentioned that shooting and having footage is only one part of a bigger picture. So it's much more powerful to align your efforts and efforts of animal rights organizations. So the question is, what is the best way, what is the best place for documentary filmmakers and animal rights organizations to find each other from your perspective and from perspective of animal rights organizations?
What is the best way to find each other? Yes, it is true. Like Tamara and I met at the conference in LA, and she came to me with the idea for the film, and everything started from there. I think just networking, connection. We're open to collaborating with other organizations. Sometimes it's difficult because we're humans and there is always human drama involved. So even though we're fighting for the animals, there is always something but I think when you find the right people, you will recognize it, and you want to strengthen those connections. They're out there. So reaching out to people, like I reached out to Sean Monson, and then my life changed after that. It's simply asking for help, simply asking for support. Some people may not give it to you, some people may. So reach out.
I think this is great advice. I just want to add that first, yes, conferences is where we meet each other, where we can inspire each other, learn from each other. That's why it's great that you're here, because conferences is the start of new projects, ideas. I shared yesterday, I think, how I was sitting on the conference, a random lecture, and I was like, why would not we do the film about helping animals and rescuing animals from the front line? And we met also at the conference, and also good advice to reaching out and asking. Sometimes we are afraid to ask for help. We are afraid to ask advice or ask for collaboration because we're afraid of refusal. We're afraid that people will say no. But I remember there was one test when one guy, he made a TED talk about that. He just went and he was asking about all random stuff. And he was surprised how often people actually say yes. So you should never be afraid to ask, because you will be surprised how often you will actually receive, yes, let's do it.
That's true.
So
Yeah.
very good advice.
Yeah.